What's up, gang? Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Normally on Mondays I'll have a hunt video, but today we're going to have a Get That Treasure educational film. And today's video are my 10 essential tips for succeeding at a seated or competitive hunt. Anyway, let's get right to it. Tip number 1, keep your coil against the soil. And I mean that quite literally. As you're swinging your coil, you want to see if there's leaves of grass, you want to see the grass move. You're trying to touch it. And the reason for that is if there's a target that has been just tossed out and it's standing up in between those leaves of grass. Okay, it's vertical, right? So when it's sitting like that, it's a much harder target to hit. Anyone who detects, and I'm sure you know this, when you come across those tones in the ground, sometimes they're a wisp when a coin is on edge. So by keeping your coil to the soil and moving and agitating the ground, you're gonna knock those coins flat. And when they go flat, they're gonna pop. And that'll increase your target acquisition, which is what you want. You wanna grab targets, bag them, move on to the next as fast as possible. A lot of times, as a matter of fact, every time, at every seated hunt, you're gonna be against the clock, okay? You're gonna work in a field for maybe 45 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. It just depends on what the rules of the particular hunt are. So as you can see, I'm keeping the coil on the ground, swiping it, kind of aggressive actually, and occasionally you're gonna need to reset your coil, okay? So it's gonna pop up, whatever. Just, be mindful of it, okay? And just move forward with your coil against the soil. That's tip number 1. By the way, these tips are in no particular order. They are all very important to me. This is what I believe are good tips. Tip number 2, and this is a psychological tip. There is no pot of gold in the center of the hunting field. This is an important one. Okay? At every event I go to, the moment the hunt starts, people seem to instinctively walk in a straight line to the middle of the field. That's not where it's at, okay? And as they do this, they miss tons of targets. Now, my personal strategies, I tend to spiral out. So I'll start and kind of move clockwise or counterclockwise behind the people, okay? Because people always miss targets. And as they start to clump together, you're gonna get higher levels of electromagnetic interference. This is gonna cause, some machines will suffer from silent interference where like, you don't even realize that you're getting interference, but you're not even picking up targets. There could be 30 targets right beneath you, right beneath your coil. You're not hearing it, okay? So I like to take a step back, don't rush to the center of the field, walk behind in a spiral, almost like you're herding detectorists. It's a good way to think about it. But you can find that this is a very, very good thing to remember every time you start a hunt. There is no pot of gold in the center of the hunt field. Number 3, do not weigh your detector down with accessories, okay? At this last hunt that I was at, Treasure Hunt of the Carolinas, a bunch of great people out there. But a lot of people want to make their detector their detector, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's a competitive hunt, like that was, you don't want to add weight. You want a quick swing, okay? So I saw some people that had like battery packs and they had their pinpointers attached, and they had 3D printed these cool things and they were on there and they had like bands with their names on it, like on their remote boxes or whatever. Okay, if you're going to compete or you're going to go to a seated hunt, you're paying good money for this thing, take it off. You're not gonna need to recharge your battery while you're on the hunt field. If you do, you suck at life because you knew the day before you were gonna be at a hunt. The machine needs to be charged, or fresh batteries, whatever. Okay, it's uncalled for. And frankly, it's disappointing that you would need to charge in the middle of a hunt. You deserve to lose. Actually, go ahead and do that, because I'm going to be there and I'm a shark. Okay? I'm trying to get as much as possible. So if you think that that's cool, go for it, champ. And I will see you watching from the crowd when I walk up to accept my gold coin or whatever it is that I won, because your boy is a beast. Anyway, moving on. Number 4, and this one is important. As you start to detect in the field, for some reason, everybody just looks at the ground. And look, I get it. Okay, you might actually see coins. I've had that happen. See a coin, just pick it up, or a token, or whatever it is, okay? It's natural to look at the ground, okay? It's natural to kind of look at your coil as you're swinging it. It's natural if you're going to look at your control box, you know, it's gonna have your VDI numbers, okay? The problem is that everybody's looking at the ground. And sometimes if you look up, you will see that there is a huge area of space nobody is detecting, okay? Because everybody's looking at the ground. So from time to time, look up. Look up, you may see a huge spot, go there. 2 things are gonna happen. 1, you're gonna be out of the range of other detectorists causing electromagnetic interference. And 2, you'll hit what is ostensibly virgin ground on a seated hunt field, okay? So these are things to definitely do. Always look up occasionally. I'm not saying don't, you know, focus on the ground. I get it, okay? I do it too. Just remind yourself, look up. That's it. That's out of all the tips, that might be like number 1, really. That's an important one. That'll give you a competitive advantage. It's not number 1, but it's up there. Number 5, don't waste time digging unrelated targets, okay? At most seated hunts, the target is gonna be relatively shallow. Not always, I mean, but most of the time, okay? You may get a really good signal that sounds great, and if you were in the field, like, you know, a home site or whatever, you'll dig it, okay? Do not waste your time digging those targets. More than likely, you're either gonna be looking for a silver coin or a painted penny or some kind of token, and they're gonna be relatively shallow, okay? You wanna acquire those targets as quickly as possible and move on, because a lot of times, especially if it's, like a token type of target, the way it works is you wanna like amass as many of those in your bag as possible, because those may either win you around, they may increase your chances of winning awesome prizes, whatever. Don't dig these hopeful targets, and because you're wasting time, okay? You're always up against the clock. So only get the ones that are easy to get to. Don't spend, if you go down, you put your pinpointer down, you can't locate it real quickly, just move on. Just move on. It's okay, trust me on this one. This is a big one, okay? Number 6, and I see this a lot. Do not use your detector's pinpoint feature at a seated hunt. If it's timed, do not use it. And as a matter of fact, unless you're using it to determine size at depth or kind of various other reasons, there are reasons why you could use it, okay? I'm not gonna tell you that there isn't. But generally speaking, when you go to a hunt like that, you need to know where on your coil the targets are. Where do they pop at? Where do they lie in relation to the layout of your coil? This comes with practice. But one thing you can do to make it very easy is put a coin on the ground, okay? Swing your detector over it. You will hear where it pops the hardest. And depending on what kind of detector you're using, it's gonna be, you'll know. Because it'll be like pop, 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 it'll hit it, thump it hard, especially if it's like a silver coin, okay? You need to know that like it's an extension of your body. Where is that target on your coil, okay? Now if you notice here, I'm swinging right over it, and right there, right near the F, where it says FMF on my Deus 2 coil, That's where I'm going to get the most pop. Okay? So this is something you should do even if you're not at a seated hunt. Okay? You got a pinpointer, you don't need to use the one on the machine unless you're using it for some kind of other analytical reason. This is my personal belief. So I guess really what I'm saying is, like, when I see people using that feature, like, you know, if they're hunting a house site with me, I'm usually like, I'm judging you is what I'm doing. So know that, champ. Anyway, moving on. Number 7, and this one goes hand in hand with a lot of the other ones, but I felt like it needed its own place, and that is avoid other people. So sort of just like how the tip I was talking about, like take a look up, you know, to look for blank areas, actively avoid other people, right? You got all these machines, they're all using technology that's emitting frequencies. You want to avoid them as much as possible. Okay, so, and I see it happen at every event I go to. People clump. Be cognizant, avoid people, and avoid those traps. You'll have your headphones on, and you may just hear like a whatever. That's those detectors. Sounds like an electric fence sometimes. Okay, but I guarantee you, if you're hearing that, you're not hearing targets that you need to. Now, sure, sometimes you will still be able to find targets, but not always. Sometimes they just become invisible. And as a matter of fact, you can search YouTube for instances of invisible EMI. There's more than a few videos about it, okay? So trust me on this, avoid other people, walk your own path. You don't need to crowd surf at the event, okay? On to the next one. Number 8, know your audio, okay? If you go to the hunt and they say, okay, today we're gonna be digging painted pennies, you need to know what a 1983 and up penny sounds like versus what a 1982 and under penny sounds like, okay? One's 95% copper, one's 95% zinc. They're similar, but they're different, okay? It does not sound like a nickel. Now, I'm using these coins as examples because I'm in the United States. It doesn't matter where you're at. Every country has got varying coins. People, you learn what they sound like, right? So if you know what the target is, only hunt for those targets. I can't tell you how many times I saw someone, you know, digging, well, I got a really strong mid-tone. Well, why are you digging it? You might, yeah, okay, it could be a gold ring, but it isn't. All right, you're competing for gold and silver in a different kind of way. Focus on what you know you're looking for. You want your acquisition to be quick, efficient. You want to fill up your bag with those targets. Don't spend time looking for things that are unrelated to what you need to be focusing on. Number 9, it's a big one. Tune your machine for speed, not depth, okay? You want to turn up your recovery speed. Different machines call it different things. On the Deus 2, it's reactivity. On Mind Labs, I think it's recovery. You know, you want to go fast. You want it to acquire targets fast. You do not want to dig a target that's a foot deep. Okay, so the lower the reactivity, the deeper you go, the slower you have to go. The higher your reactivity, the faster you go, the more shallow you detect, okay? So reactivity, recovery, whatever you want, whatever companies call it, tune your detector for speed, not depth. That's a big one, real big one. Number 10, and I'll demonstrate this one. This is important. Hold your handheld pinpointer in your offhand, okay? So I tend to swing righty. I do know how to swing lefty because of an arm injury that I had. But you want this thing ready to go, okay? And you want your thumb on the button, okay? It needs to be ready to turn on immediately. This stays in your hand. This stays in your hand. Now, I keep my bag on my left side, all right? Let's see if I can show you how my setup is. You know what? I'll put this camera on the tripod and I'll demonstrate exactly what I mean. But keep it like that. That way you can hit the button, turn it on, then hit the button, turn it off. And you want to be proficient in that motion. Okay, so I'm going to attach this to the tripod. I want to show you exactly what I mean. And I'll show you, so there'll be some, I'm sure throughout this video I will have peppered in some video from the last hunt that I was just at. But you probably can see my technique for doing this in some of those videos. And I'll definitely make sure to show it to you. But anyway, check it out. I'm about to show you right now. Okay. Pinpointer in my offhand. I'm swinging. I get a target. Boom, 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 okay? As I set this down, I'm already turning on my pinpointer, all right? I'm down to the ground. Boom. Look here. Digging tool. As I pop it up, boom. I'm turning this off, okay? This is going back in here. I'm generally grabbing my target with the same hand, throwing it in my bag, and picking up my detector, and we're on to the next target, okay? Practice this. It will make you fast, and you want speed. Now, I also don't get on my knees. I bend at the waist. That'll also make you faster, but you know, if you got a bad back or there's issues, I get it. Not everybody can do that. But I never get down, because it's harder to get all the way back up than it is to just bend over and extract it. So like I'm right at about 6'4". So, I mean, you know, I'm bending down and getting up from a ways too. So these are things to think about. If you're shorter, you got a little bit of an advantage, I would assume. I don't know. I can only tell you from my perspective, which is that of a tall person. But this technique works. It definitely works. I really hope this video can help you in your seated hunts, your competitive hunts. Truthfully, this will help you in your everyday hunts. Just going out and hunting, this will help you. These techniques, although are perfect, and I really highly believe that in a seated environment, a competitive environment, they will give you an edge. They'll also give you a little bit of an edge out just like in the regular field. Keeping your coil to the soil, it's just, I cannot begin to explain how many times I see people swinging their detector like it's a pendulum, or to be like 6 inches off the ground. Okay, that's just ridiculousness. And even I, sometimes I got to remind myself, get back to the soil, get back to the soil. Sometimes your coil will pop up. A guy came up to me and he's like, yeah, I saw, you know, it was like your coil almost looked like that. And I was like, well, yeah, sometimes you got to reset it. And you do. You know, you got to touch your coil to the ground and get it flat again. The coil needs to be parallel to the ground. And in a lot of cases, it needs to touch the ground. Because, especially on old sites, you may be dealing with a ½ inch depth of detection. What I mean by that is, let's say you got a target, it's 9.5 inches deep. But because of the soil profile, you're only detecting to 9 inches. Okay, you need that ½ inch. And I'm telling you, a ½ inch make a big difference. For certain. Okay? So anyway, if you have any questions, or if you have any tips, or if you think that I'm an idiot, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to see some other tips, because I want to get better. Okay? One of my big philosophies is becoming better at what I do. I am incredibly passionate about metal detecting. I want to be better all the time. It's not just about finding the things. Now, granted, that's the biggest part of it. I like getting that treasure. But improving my technique, becoming a better all-around detectorist is very important to me, because you have to figure out ways to become the master of what it is you love. And it never ends. It's never gonna end. Okay? It's just not. So I hope this video has helped you guys. Like I said, if you got any questions, let me know. If you got any comments, let me know. If you made it this far and you enjoyed this content helps you, give me a subscribe. I would appreciate it. You just don't even know. And as always, if you want some stickers or whatever swag I got, shoot me an email. I get that treasure at gmail.com and I'll send you something. I'll at least respond to you. And I'll never sell your information unless the price is right. So know that. I think that concludes today's Get That Treasure educational film. And I look forward to seeing you guys at a hunt sometime. I'll be at a lot of them this year and the years to come, unless something happens. But you'll see me. And if you do, say hey. And if I see you, well, I hope I beat you. Just know that. I'm competitive. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.